Okay, I'm on the Montour Trail today because today I want to do a video. And again, it's about farming. And I'm out in the country here, so maybe there's not a better place to do that. The question I have for you is, do you think that farmers should now be bailed out because of Donald Trump's tariffs pretty much destroying, wrecking their markets, their business, and many of them are headed for bankruptcy? Let me know what you think in the comment section while I walk towards my spot, the pavilion where I usually do the videos from. I'm going to get situated there. But anyway, as you know, Donald Trump's tariffs have taken a toll on American farmers. And there's plenty of videos out there. I did one. I'm going to link that video in the description box so you can watch it, about farming, about farmers, my support for them. But I do have a bone to pick. We're going to talk about that today on the video. By the way, please watch the video till the end. Those of you that are my subscribers pretty much do. A lot of you don't. You stop by, you watch a few seconds, a minute, and you leave. Listen, I got a lot to say, and I have a lot of good things to say. Stay tuned and watch the whole video. Help us out. Thank you. At any rate, so farmers hurt themselves. They voted against their own best interests. And today we're going to talk about that a little bit and kind of go over what's happening and whether they should get bailed out. This is a pretty big deal. A lot of farmers are going to go belly up. Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, even farms in the South are struggling now. And as I mentioned, some of this is got to be put on them. They almost unanimously, a large portion, voted for Donald Trump. And we're going to talk a little bit about why, and I have talked somewhat over my videos as to why. But listen, I got a lot of videos out there, by the way. Binge watch them. We got a lot of great commentaries from people. I appreciate it. We also got, I think, a lot of knowledge that I was able to obtain and put into those videos to help people kind of navigate an ocean that is filled with a lot of dangerous things. And this ocean of America is failing right now. There's turbulent seas, a lot of shipwrecks, and I'm going to try to help you avoid that. I'm going to try to help you clarify what direction we should all be going. So I'm going to go get situated. Again, watch the video to the end. I hope you enjoy it. And again, please, we want to hear about your thoughts. Comment in the comment section and like, subscribe, and share. And here we go. Okay, now we're situated. So the first problem that farmers are facing is themselves, of course. Bad decisions based on a lot of things that weren't true. Donald Trump's narratives over the last few years and others, how the whole United States economy is on a cliff, how everybody's out to get them. Immigrants are stealing money from white people through government programs, which I looked into, and that's not true, but some people will guarantee me they know people who know people that are getting thousands and thousands of dollars every month. I looked up the programs, and I looked up the qualifications for federal programs and state programs. That's not true. And it's very difficult if you're undocumented to get anything. Now, maybe there was some handouts when they first came in. Those have ended. Those ended a while ago for people to get situated. That's okay. I don't have a problem with any of that. But what we're being told is that this goes on and on, that every immigrant's getting all this money and health care and such. Literally, if you were getting all this, why would you go to work in a farm field? Why would you go to work at all? Well, again, this is part of the fake narrative that Donald Trump has provided his people. Farmers fell for it. They're white, generational farmers. They probably don't see a lot of black people. See, they use immigrants on their farm fields and in their ranches, but that's about it. Somehow they didn't realize that without those people, how do you perform the duties you need to do on a farm, which they even claim is such hard work? But again, I'm getting muddled here. So I want to let you know that on Truth Social, and by the way, Truth Social's bleeding money. last year, Truth Social lost $186 million. That's what we can account for. It's a joke. And it's Donald Trump's personal social media page, his personal propaganda page. And people love it because when he says something, it's the gospel. It's beyond the gospel. Jesus goes to Donald Trump to find out the truth, just to let you know. So I do have my script here, by the way. Yes, I do have a script. I always try to have a script, and it's not always perfect, so please still watch the video to the end. So the United States farmers are basically in trouble, and Donald Trump told them back before the election, to the great farmers of the United States, get ready to start making a lot of agricultural product to be sold inside the United States. Tariffs will go on external products on April 2nd. Have fun. Is anybody in the farming community having fun now? What went wrong there? How about everything? So I found a lady from Nebraska, and I didn't get to the part where she mentioned her name. If she did at all, it was on a talk show. And I'm going to read her story. And it's kind of discombobulated a lot because she kind of rambled. But this is what she said. A rancher from Nebraska. Nebraska is headed for bankruptcy within the next 2 years. Cattle ranchers overwhelmingly voted for Trump. 70% of their entire workforce is undocumented immigrants, and they straight up aren't showing up for work anymore. They have all either fled the country, fled the state, they don't want to get raided while at work. So they have just moved on. Moved on to work somewhere else, and straight up, we are going to go bankrupt now. We're going to go bankrupt, and yeah, we voted. We voted that immigrants would get deported, and he was coming after immigrants, yet we still voted for it. We overwhelmingly voted for our own demise. I was talking to my husband last night, and I have to admit that it seems a bit foolish, now that we think about it, that we voted for something that is now putting us directly out of business. So these farmers are going to face financial ruin, unless Donald Trump decides to bail them out, to compensate them. See, his tariffs, the crazy tariffs that were on again, off again, on, off, 185%, 7 billion percent, 5%, 20%, you name the number, he quoted it. These tariffs destroyed American farmers. Let me give you a little data here. In 2025, 88 Chapter 12 filings were reported, nearly double the 45 filings in the first quarter of 2024. Early reports also state that 259 farm bankruptcies were filed in the first 3 quarters of 2025, exceeding the total for all of 2024. It's a rocket increase, wasn't it? Straight up there. That's a straight up increase of bankruptcies. Now, MAGA farmers are asking the Trump administration for a little bit of socialism. They're begging for this because they're going bankrupt. Now, here's the problem I have with that. I don't mind helping these farmers, except I have a condition. We have to reinstate USAID, start buying these farm products that Trump wants to sell in the country, and start selling them back outside of the country, using them to feed hungry people. So when Donald Trump found out that farmers actually were selling wheat, grain, and soybeans to the U.S. government, who then sent it overseas to help starving children, that had to stop. He stopped it. But he bit off the nose in spite of his face. Well, he cut off the farmer's nose to spite their face, because he didn't care. It didn't affect him. So they want handouts now. Do you believe they should get a handout? I say handout, subsidy, whatever. Again, let me know in the comments section, because I want to go on record here as saying, listen, I love American farmers. I love farming. I love farms. I wished I was a farmer. I wished I could buy a farm right now. Can't afford it. But I wished I could go in the mountains and buy a farm. But the land is now so expensive, and it's so difficult to get loans and get money and be able to pay it back because of how expensive it is. No one's going to go out there and buy these things unless you're a developer and want to build ugly homes on them. But I digress. So I truly believe there are big issues here that we as Americans as a group, if we weren't divided, have to deal with. Now, I'm going to give you another little interesting quote here. Now, there are a lot of farmers who are now speaking out and asking directly for government handouts. One of them, Chris King, and I won't mention where Chris is from. He's a farmer who happily voted for Donald Trump. He explained that this was his 39th harvest, and he had never seen conditions so dire. I have never been as worried as I am now whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on. I would just like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports back. We need to be paid for what we do, and that's not happening, and we're in real trouble. Another farmer, Scott Brown, warned that they're going to lose 20 to 25% of the farms in this country if the government doesn't do anything. Another farmer, Scott Brown, is warning that we're going to lose 20 to 30% of our farms in this country if the government doesn't do something. They have no choice but to mail us a check. See, these are the people, and I'm not saying every one of them believe this. Now, these are the same people, maybe not all of them, but these are the same people that voted for Medicaid cuts, for reducing SNAP payments on millions of people, for eliminating health care for about 13 to 14 million people. Okay, but now the policies that this guy, Donald Trump, is doing is technically biting them in the ass. So they want to fix. But will they be willing to help somebody else out? Will they be willing to say, hey, Donald, give us back U.S. aid, open that back up, and let's go back to getting rid of the big, beautiful bill and basically stomping on the health care and food security of millions of Americans. How about that? How about if we go back and go across the board, not just powdering a farmer's butt, not just giving them a handout because Trump ruined it for him, but how about everybody that he's hurt? How about everybody? How about we go back and then stop these crazy immigration policies and these raids by masked ICE people, just like you're in some fascist country. Just like you're in some fascist country. They come up with masks and vans and you just disappear in them. You know, they raided and I wasn't going to say this, they raided a Korean automobile plant, and they basically detained about 300 Koreans. Now, they didn't all have the papers. Of course they didn't, because if you're basically sending people over to set up factories and to do technical work, now maybe that paperwork doesn't always get filed. Okay, maybe they're undocumented Koreans, but you just shut down a factory, a battery factory, and pull people out of there. Where does that make sense? Who's going to go back to work there? Because now people in Korea don't want to come here because they're afraid of literally ending up in chains, which is what these people did. They had chains on them, on their legs and on their hands. Welcome to fascist America. I digressed. So these labor shortages that the woman from Nebraska was talking about are real. A lot of crops are going to die in the fields. They're going to basically rot in the fields. A lot of things like soybeans are going to rot in silos because there's now nobody going to buy soybeans. China canceled the order and now is buying soybeans from, Brazil. See, we're at a point in time now where we've allowed our hatred and anger. White America has allowed their hatred and anger. And let me go back a minute. Not just white America. There's a lot of brown people that stood behind this as well. I don't think they understood that they, again, were voting against their own interests. Somehow they think if I'm for the guy, he's not going to turn on me. Believe me, my friend, he turned on you. He's going to turn on you. But again, mostly white America, right-wing white America, for the most part, thought that somehow they were going to get ahead, that they're going to be better off without immigrants, without Medicaid, without people receiving benefits, because none of them work, and they need to work. Okay, so people starve, so people get sicker, so we lose some people. Good for them. They didn't do the work that we all did. It says here that about 1.2 million immigrants dropped out of working on the farms and in the fields. Preliminary data from the Census Bureau analyzed by the Pew Research Center indicates that more than 1.2 million immigrants were missing from the U.S. labor force from January to July 2025. This includes both documented and undocumented individuals. But listen to this. But researchers attribute a substantial portion of the decline to increased deportation fears. So if you're going to get deported, why would you go to work? Right? And of course, if you're the person that owns that business, if you're a farmer, for instance, and you need people to come to work to pick the fields, what do? Here's another problem. As I mentioned, the cuts in foreign aid, the USAID program, made basically a big impact on American farmers because, again, the government bought their product to send overseas. This was all cut off by Donald Trump and, of course, his brother and now enemy, Elon Musk. This is not just affecting farmers. It's affecting small towns that basically are associated with farmers. Those small towns have businesses that now are going to go bankrupt. The farmers don't have money, so they're not going to go buy anything in town. Sounds too simple, right? But it is that simple. So anyway, my opinion here is that if we're going to bail out farmers, then we have to go backwards. Donald Trump has to first admit he's wrong. That'll never happen, but he is wrong. And his supporters have to change. I know that sounds crazy because most of these people will never change. You see, a lot of us used to say they were brainwashed by the narrative. I sometimes say that, but there's more to it. Down deep in their hearts, these people that voted for Donald Trump voted out of anger, frustration, hatred, insecurity. I've lived here all my life. I've never felt insecure by any of the things these people worry about. Never. I don't worry about who's getting what money, what checks people are getting in the mail. We worry so much that somehow that we've got to balance our budget and make sense of our budget. But really, if you can't help the people in your country as a government, and I've had people say that, well, the government shouldn't be doing it. It should be the church. Think about that. Is that funny? It should be the church. You got a better chance of seeing God than the church working on helping the poor in this country en masse. Yes, there are many little groups that do it. But the church en masse, the entire church, if it put its mind to it, could help. But how much of a dent could it make? Some might say a big dent. But there's nothing like the federal government. Understand, we the people are the government. We the people have to look out for each other. We the people. Not just saying that's the government. They shouldn't be involved in any of this stuff. Yeah, they should. And this has been the big debate, and this is why Trump got elected too. He said that we got to get rid of government. So he gutted our government. He gutted it. Now we don't have the support systems in place for just about anything, whether it's EPA, food and drug, you name it. It's not there. Bad idea because of money. We're so worried about it. Well, maybe if we wouldn't have spent $20 trillion in Afghanistan, maybe if we wouldn't be spending all the money now attacking Venezuela, maybe we didn't spend all the money building our military, buying equipment that is overpriced, maybe, just maybe, we would not be in the debt we're in. Medicaid, Medicare, you're never going to get around it. This is part of who we are. To supply a support system to the people of America. You may not like it, but let me tell you something. Eliminate that support system. What will you have? It won't be people going to work, believe me, because there's not a lot of good jobs out there. And maybe you just want people to go and pick corn and paint floors and do like the National Guard's doing in D.C., lay mulch, really jobs you want. No. Once you lose our support system, Medicare, Medicaid, this country will collapse. And you're already seeing some of that. because the systems that we think should be in place to help those people don't exist. Churches can barely get people to go into their doors. Churches have chased out young people by the tens of thousands, and they're going to go and help people? So leave the church out of it. Shut up. Shut up. Only the government can actually do its part to help people. And yes, maybe we need to do a better job of how we control things, of managing. Yes, I agree. But that doesn't mean we should shut it all down and just cut it off, shut it down, turn the lights out. Because that's when you start seeing the decline speed up. So American farmers, I support you. Nebraska, Kansas, wherever you're at. But you have to also come out and admit that you were wrong too. Whatever the reason you voted for Donald Trump, whatever you thought was wrong, because he's been one of the worst presidents in history. This is one of the most corrupt administrations in history. That's documented. You don't want to know, you don't want to hear. I'm not going to give you statistics because I don't care what you think. I know that's the truth, and more of us do. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that. It doesn't. So if you want a bailout, if you want subsidies, then I want you en masse as a group to go to Washington, D.C. Make your voices known. Donald, we were wrong. You were wrong. Turn USAID back on. Put the money back in the budget for Medicaid and Medicare. Shut off those tax cuts for the rich and give those tax cuts to the middle class. Stop pandering to the billionaire class. Stop embarrassing us on the world stage. Shut your tariffs down. Beg for mercy from all the countries now that are ready to take it to us, that are moving away from us faster than we can imagine. Yeah, that's where we're at, my friends. Listen, it's all the time I have. It's a beautiful day here. I'm going to take a walk. Like, subscribe, and share our video. Remember, I also have a sister channel, Nights Around the Fire. I have a link in the description box for that channel. There we talk about legends, mysteries, and myths. It's a great channel if you enjoy that type of stuff. Go over to it and watch it. Outside of that, love your neighbor as yourself. And I'll see you next time right here on the David Tomsic Show.